Good evening, allies. I was at work until 9 p.m. today. I had an idea of a rant that I wanted to share with you guys today now that we're getting back into the groove of things in between Thanksgiving and Christmas, but it was not to be. I ended up staying at work too long today, and it made me think of a topic that I have been wanting to talk to you guys for a long time about. It is how to be a good leader and how to delegate effectively. Now, if you learn these capabilities, I'm going to give you 7 simple steps, I think simple, you will become a better leader, better father, better husband, better whatever. And just one of these things, just implementing one of these things could have long, far-reaching effects on your life for the positive. So here we go. 1, leaders and people who delegate to other individuals try and seek buy-in wherever possible. Buy-in is the concept that everybody who's working for you is behind you and behind, more importantly, the project. You're important, but the project and the vision and the objective, the actual goal, the creation, the thing you're doing is most important. Now, when you seek buy-in and you weave this compelling story on why your objective is important, it's important that, 2, you focus on the goal, the objective, and not how you get done. And what I mean here is that don't focus on the minute micromanaging of what your subordinates are doing as long as the quality of the objective is being reached. It doesn't matter how they get to the goal as long as they get to the goal and it is of the quality that the project deserves. And follow on, make sure that you've appropriated enough time for the quality that you demand for the given objective or goal. 3, lead by example. This is such a cliche term, but this fosters respect and strength and meeting the objective. It gives people the confidence that you're in it as much as they are in it. Now, the caveat to lead by example is you're sometimes going to be required to make tough decisions. Wavering for a tough decision is almost as bad as not leading by example or making no decision at all. When you waver and you waffle and you vacillate, it shows indecisiveness and it reduces confidence. So don't do that. 4, estimate work effectively. Now, this is hard for a lot of people to do that find themselves thrusted into a leadership position and they don't have a background of either hardcore development or engineering or project management, or they haven't really done the work, right, the underling level work, and they're all of a sudden see themselves as being a leader or thrust into this position. They sometimes have a hard time effectively estimating the work to be done. The best way to effectively estimate work is to figure out all the little steps, build a schedule, if you will, right? What are all the little pieces that roll up to the objective being done? If you're building a bridge, what does that mean? Well, you've got your little pylons, and you've got all your suspension cables, or, I'm not a bridge builder. I build satellites and stuff, but you get the concept, is there's all these little minute things, and they all have to be worked out, and so start small, and build up until you've factored how much time it will take to do this bridge or whatever it is you're doing. This one is very important. It's possibly the most important thing, is once you have your plan, your objectives, and your buy-in, you have to prime the pump. Priming the pump is what I call it when, if you have all these subordinates, if you treat them like separate little water pumps, what do you have to do for every water pump? You have to start the siphon. That gets the pump going, and then the pump becomes its little self-sustaining thing that goes off and pumps the water. Your subordinates are the same way. You have to provide time to your subordinates, your water pumps, to get them siphoned up correctly. And your time is either getting them trained up, or giving them the vision, or making them understand the design, or giving them a challenge. A lot of times people are so good at what they do that they become bored and tired and crass and jaded is a huge thing. So what do you have to do? You have to provide them a challenge or make them stretch to meet a goal that they might not have often done in such a quick turnaround time. The only way that you can prime the pump and then continue to make sure that your delegates are fed, and this is a constant feeding thing, you don't just prime them once. Most delegates can't just be primed once and then you just walk away and they're good. You have to do this. You have to constantly go in and touch bases with everybody. And so that's why 6, don't be a dick. Being a dick and leading via edict and ruling people and forcing them to do as you say, the micromanaging, they get involved with the how it's getting done instead of the objective, focusing on the quality, focusing on the objective, focusing on your values and making sure that level is met, right? If you focus more up here and tracking the metrics and that stuff, you're going to get a lot less of this micromanaging, which will lead to you being a dick. Don't be a dick, because that only gets one project completed. It doesn't build relationships, and it makes you a poor leader, and people will not want to work with you. Okay, 7, this is the last one. This is one of the most important, I think, secondary to priming the pump, and they actually go hand in hand. Incentivize. Now, I don't mean something cheesy like pizza and ice cream, although that can work for some, younger people. That sometimes works great. Beer works for a little bit older people. You incentivize via things like training or growth potential or mobility. Mobility either to work on other programs to become part of your team, or mobility to either move. So say somebody, in my case, I'll give you my background. I started out in software engineering. I sought out different projects that I could work on that could grow my portfolio of software engineering, systems engineering, integration and test, and sales, or what we call BD, business development. So I sought out growth potential in those areas, and people that gave me that training, that growth, and that mobility are the ones that I stuck to like glue, and we had a great relationship that allowed me to move up and they to get their projects sold and then also move up themselves, right? We're all kind of just moving up the stairs of success, if you will, together. Now, they were just ahead of me a bit, but the goal is the same. We're moving up at the same time. So let me go back now. So how do you apply this to your everyday life? Well, think of like major effort you're going into. Like say you're prepping, right? Say you want to be prepared. You want a year's worth of food and water and supplies, right? That's a project in and itself. And you can do it all on your own. You could, and you could take a 6 months time to get to that point. But wouldn't you be more effective if you got your buy-in from your family? Wouldn't you be more effective if you got the buy-in from your wife and your kids, and they became interested and they found little pockets of interest that they had in prepping? You can incentivize them by giving them the training, the books, the material, showing them Google, showing them YouTube, like my channel, and getting them started on what they're most interested in. Maybe your wife has this interest that she wants to get involved with ham radio, or in the case of my wife, is interested in growing things in the backyard, horticulture, and canning, right? So how do we do that? Well, let's try and foster this education, this training, by looking at YouTube videos, potentially buying a book, going down to Osh down the street, buying some ball jars and some of the equipment there. Your kids, right? What are your kids going to want to do? Well, kids like tools, kids like getting dirty, kids like doing all that stuff, so they can help mom getting the garden started, or they can help you in the garage in putting things away and building a rotating food shelf, stuff like that, right? So if you looked at your goal of to be prepared, have 6 months of food put away, or a year's worth of food, or whatever, you don't just start and end with food, right? You have communications, and you have tools, and you have training, things like how to purify water, things like how to handle when there's no power. What are we going to do? We're going to learn about solar. We're going to learn about how generators work. We're going to learn about how to make gas stay viable as long as possible. All those things, right, are under the umbrella of your objective of being prepared. So think about it like that. If you focus on those 7 items and apply it to anything, any kind of task, even little small tasks, you'll find that there's all kinds of little pieces and small tasks that have to get done to get to the larger whole. And if you focus on that, particularly when you're leading in a group of people, or their short time supposed to support you in this effort. That was how I started out in engineering, was that I was the leader of a task, but I wasn't a manager, so I didn't have people that just belonged to my homeroom, and then they worked for me constantly. I had people who would constantly farm out and help me get projects done. So I had to get really good at incentivizing people who, didn't really want to help you. They wanted to do their own projects, and they got kind of stuck supporting, they were just kind of a little less seniority than I was, so they ended up having to support me, kind of thing. So how you handle those relationships, and it's all relationship building. It's all the sausage making of how we get work done. Once you focus on that, you'll find that you can do anything, and big projects become much easier, and you will be less stressed, and you'll become more confident, and it'll apply to anything. Even if you treat yourself in some of these ways, consciously think about how you get yourself to do these items and be good at what you do and succeed in your projects that you're working on, you'll succeed. Anyway, guys, this is very different than my normal rants, but I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give me a thumbs up. If you have not already, please subscribe. I'd love it if you shared this with all your friends, your family, get it on them socials, and I'll do another video, not like this, but different, I'll see you tomorrow, all right? I'll see you tomorrow for that video. Okay, later.